UFO Reporting Center?
Yeah, I've been trying to get a hold of you for a long time. We've got a bunch of them up here.
Okay, I'd like to hear about it.
Yeah, I'll bet. I'm in Bighorn Basin, Wyoming, right outside of Gribble.
Okay, I know where that's at.
Okay. Got a whole bunch of these boogers. I've been watching them now for about 2 weeks.
Okay, what do they look like?
Okay, they look like kind of like a submarine with a tail on it, like an airplane, or an airplane with no wings, and kind of, you know, they're out looking at an airplane from the side.
Like an airplane fuselage.
Right.
Okay.
And it's got little green, red, yellow, and purple lights all the way around it. And this thing comes in from the east. These things do, from like Cody, and they're real bright like a star. And when it gets closer to you, it gets dimmer. And then when it lands, it glows into a big orange, kind of like looking at the sun or something.
Uh-huh.
And then when the light goes out, it's like you turn down a kerosene lamp. You ever heard anything like that before?
Well, yeah.
Okay.
When do you actually see the fuselage type object? Is this after the light goes out, or what? Or while it's on?
Well, it's looking at it with the naked eye. It's before it goes out.
Okay.
Now we're looking at it through binoculars, and then we can see the fuselage of it. Other than that, just looking at it with the naked eye, you don't see nothing but a bright light.
Okay. And these objects, are they operating close to you or distant?
Well, both.
Okay.
I live right on the Bighorn River, and right across the river up on Sheep Mountain, these things are landing up there.
Okay.
All right, on the opposite side of the Sheep Mountain, I work for Dresser Industries, semi-drilling floods, and I go to work like at 4 in the morning. And I see them. Then they come off of Sheep Mountain and go over and land on Beaver Hill, which is another one of our pits. And then I work out there till midnight on the other shift, 2 in the afternoon till midnight, and they're real active. But these things, just right behind my house on the cliff over there's a big cave. And they're landing on top of that thing, and it's just right against me. Now, last night, I would never tell anybody about this because everybody's, you know, I didn't want to be hoorah'd about it.
I understand.
So I got my brother out there, and I told him about it the night before last. And we watched the ones come in on Sheep Mountain. And he's called it everything in the book, from a satellite to the Earth's moving and the stars are coming up, you know. Then the following night, which was last night, the one came in from the east, and I said, okay, you're going to sit here and watch this. So he sat there, him and my sister-in-law, and watched it come in and land. And we drove around the backside on the level highway, because I told him, I said, that landed between the level highway and our lane here. And we drove around on the backside and came into the gravel pit, and sure enough, there it sat.
How close did you get it at that point?
Oh, we were several miles from it.
Okay.
Then.
Okay.
But Wild Bend Bentonite plant is like 3 miles down the road from us. And off to the east of that, there's no lights whatsoever over there. And these lights, we've seen 3 of them come in there and set down. And after they set down, they were putting off more light than what that bentonite plant was putting off.
Okay. Now, do you have any estimate of the size of these objects?
Oh, that'd be hard to say, looking at them through the binoculars. You know, I'd say big as a car.
Okay.
Probably.
You ever pick up any sound from them?
No sound at all.
Now, when did this activity start?
Okay, it's been here. Oh, geez, 6 months.
Okay.
Here in the last 2 weeks is when it's really gotten heavy, like more of them. There's like a dozen of them out there now.
Okay, now do you see just one at a time, or do they come in groups?
They come in groups.
Okay.
They look like just one bright star comes in, and it looks like a whole bunch of them comes out of the bottom of it.
Okay.
You know, the lights that's coming out of the bottom of this bright star are like kind of amber-like, and they're not real bright.
But do they come down to the ground like the others?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And they scan the ground. They back and forth across the ground, flying.
Okay. Do they ever use or employ beams of light when they get down close to the ground?
Yes, sir. Sure do.
Okay. Now, is that like a shaft of light or a cone of light?
More like a cone, like the Northern Lights.
Okay. And what color?
White.
Okay. Do those cones of light always extend down to the ground?
No, sir. They're in the air after they land.
Okay. And when was the most frequent time that you spotted them?
Okay, at 8 o'clock last night is when the first one started coming in. It came in and looked like the first star of the evening in the east.
Okay. And do you watch these take off also after they land?
Yes, sir. This morning I got up at 4 o'clock this morning to go to work, and I'd say about 5 o'clock before daylight, this thing came up orange up into the air and then just disappeared.
Okay, have you ever spotted any of those up on the mountain during the daytime, daylight hours?
No, sir.
Okay, do they appear just to come in at night and then leave early in the morning?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You ever noticed any aircraft activity around there when they're around?
No, sir.
Okay. But
well, you can see a jet. Now, I'll take that back. You can see the lights of jets way up there. But these things are close to the ground.
Yes, okay. But the one special item up on that mountain, you say, is a large cave?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Have you ever been up to that cave?
Yes, sir.
Anything special about it?
No, it goes in about 300 yards and then dead end.
That's just kind of a natural formed cave?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
But there is a cave on up from it about a quarter mile that is a big cavern.
Okay.
But they're all over this sheet mountain, not only in this one special place, and there'll be like 3 or 4 of them land up there, at a time.
Okay. Now, have you heard of any other talk among your acquaintances about anyone else seeing these things?
Yes, sir. The guy at work we just went out for the first load at 4 o'clock in the morning, and he seen this thing, and he come running to my truck scared to death. And we have a preacher that works with us, and this morning, I had done some talk to a couple of the guys, about if they've seen any lights out there or anything. Well, the preacher's truck was broke down. He said, well, it's just as well. He said, I don't want to have to go out there and see all the weird things I've been seeing anyway. And I looked at him and I said, have you been seeing things out there? I said, like lights flying around and such? And he looked around. There wasn't nobody but him and I there. And he says, yep. He says, I certainly have. And he's a preacher, so I know he's not going to lie about it.
Okay.
At first, when I was seeing these things, I figured I need to go get myself committed. Because I thought I was
Okay.
and I've called the Air Force and everybody else, asking if they're doing testing around this area or whatever. And, of course, I don't figure they'll tell me if they were, but I don't think the U.S. has got anything like these things are. They move too fast.
Well, they wouldn't likely test a secret weapon of any kind off of a military base anyway. So.
Oh, no.
Do you see that minister quite often?
Every day.
Would you ask him to call us?
Well, I don't know that he will or not.
Well, yeah.
As a minister.
Yeah. Okay, have you tried taking any pictures?
No. Sure haven't.
Does anyone have a camera with a lens on it or a telescopic lens?
I don't know. I can check around and see if I can find one. You almost need a night lens for that.
Well, if these things give off enough light, if they use sensitive film, it should pick it up.
Okay.
All right.
Have you had any sightings in this area before?
Many years ago, there was a major UFO incident. In fact, I can think of 2 major UFO incidents in your area. One involved a police officer, and another involved, I think it was a heavy truck driver And in both cases, they saw objects come down and land, or practically land, come to a near landing position. Very large circular objects.
Yeah. Well, I can't tell if these things are circular or not. They look kind of like a submarine.
Yes.
Fuselage thing with a kind of a tail on it. Now let me tell you this. Now, there's something I seen several years ago that makes me believe in UFOs. I seen this thing that looked like two rubber rafts, one on top of the other.
Yes.
Landed in a church parking lot, and it was mist and rain. And as I turned the corner, this was early morning hours, I was coming home from work, and as I turned the corner, I seen this thing running down the sidewalk that looked like Mr. Peanut. And I thought I was crazy. Have you ever had anybody tell you that before? Mr. Peanut.
Well, a short type person?
Yeah.
Well, over the years, there have been many eyewitness accounts of short occupants being seen near these craft that have landed.
Yeah.
I don't know about the Mr. Peanut type description, but very short people, 3.5 or 4 feet tall.
Yeah, this would be about 4 foot tall.
Yeah.
And it was shaped just like Mr. Peanut. It used to be on the old peanut jars.
Now, did you see that individual going into the object?
No, sir. I seen him running down the sidewalk, nibbling on the hedge.
Okay.
But this object, it was mist and rain, and there's two neighbor ladies there that seen this, and one of them called my mother the next day and was telling her about it. And I came in and got the tail end of my mom's conversation, and I asked her about it, and she told me that Marion had seen a UFO, and her and her neighbor walked down the street, and where this thing was sitting, the streets and everything was wet, and this one circle was dry. So, and my brother says up on Sheet Mountain with his binoculars, he can see burn marks.
Okay.
So.
Is that quite a hike going up there?
Oh, yes, sir. Nobody walks up there.
Oh, okay.
It's a long ways up there.
Be a trip for a helicopter then, I suppose.
Yes, sir.
Where did you get our number?
I got it from the Wing Division of Warren Air Force Base.
Okay.
And I've been debating on whether to call you guys for a long time, to call somebody and tell them it was there. And then when my brother actually seen it last night, him and his wife, he decided maybe we ought to tell somebody.
They were pretty convinced, were they?
Oh, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, everybody that's seen it's pretty well convinced. But
okay.
It's more than one of them. There's like a dozen of them.
All right, we sure appreciate your reporting this, and if we get any more information, we'll call you back.
Okay, well, I appreciate anything you can find out, if they are testing something or whatever, because it's kind of it gives you a cold, eerie feeling when you wake up at 1 o'clock in the morning with a dog raising hell, and you look out the window and see this thing sitting over there across the river from you.
Yes. Does your dog usually act up when these things are around?
Yes, sir.
Well, that's a very common phenomenon. Yeah. Dogs and cats and farm animals.
He's on the river. I mean, this morning that one was going whoop, 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 whoop. He's really raising hell.
I'll be darned.
So.
All right, sir. Thank you again.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you. Okay. And I'll get you again if I was to call you back, huh?
Very good.
Or a preacher was to call you?
Right.
Okay, well, there's a bunch of us going to go look at it again tonight. And what would you guys do? Come out and look at it yourself, or?
Yeah, if we could get a team together, we might have, volunteers to go in there. We might get somebody up there with some equipment. Maybe they'll be able to detect some energy fields or something on these things.
Yeah. Well, do you have a lot of sightings on this kind of stuff? Do you have a lot of people calling you on this?
Oh, yes. Yes, we get reports from around the country every day. In fact, all over North America.
Really, like 8 years ago when I worked for this company, there was a lot of lights out there then. I had this thing running beside my truck. It looked like a motorcycle behind me coming through the sagebrush.
Yes.
And when it passed me like I was backing up, But that's been like 9 years ago out there in the same area. Then there was a couple of balls of light floating through the sky at one time, And I figured them just to be gas balls or something.
Yeah. Well, you've had your share of sightings, haven't you?
Well, I've seen a bunch of them, yeah. But, I don't, like I say, I don't tell anybody about them because they think I'm some kind of nut or something.
Yeah, I can understand, right.
So, Yeah, I'm watching the sky all the time. I work a lot of nights. I've never seen anything like this, to where I can make out what it was. This is the first.
Okay, thanks again, Bob.
Okay, thank you.
Bye. UFO Reporting Center?
Yes, is this Robert Gribble?
Robert Gribble, yes.
Yeah, this is Bob's in Gribble, Wyoming.
Yes, sir.
Giving you a call back. Night before last, we went back out to the hill out there and watched this thing come in again, this evening star that it looks like. And I stayed on one side, and my brother went over there and against the highway in the gravel pit. And when he passed over him, it looked like a sombrero, he said, with a green top on it. A real bright green.
Yes.
It had a ring around it. Okay, last night we were going to go back out again and take pictures. Well, him, my brother, and the guy he works with went out to where they were sitting the night before, and I stayed at the farm. I was going to watch it from there.
Yes.
Well, it was cloudy, and whenever it was coming in, and just before it got to them, there was two F-16s and a 51 shot right up in front of it, and the F-16 rainbowed underneath it. And when it did, that thing just shot out of there. It went back towards Cody.
So you could definitely make out the model of the aircraft?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And what time was that?
Around probably 8:15, 8:20.
Okay. And that was night before last?
Well, with the airplanes was last night. Night before last is when it came over and went over and landed again.
Okay.
And he could definitely make it out in the binoculars as a sombrero. Looked like a sombrero.
Okay, and then that was last night?
Night before last. Last night is when the F-16 fighter jets.
Okay. Now, let's concentrate on last night. What did the object look like last night?
It was a sombrero again.
Sombrero, okay. And that landed?
No, it didn't land last night.
Okay.
The fighter jets, the bomber and the two fighter jets showed up. And the one fighter jet rainbowed underneath it. It just dove towards it and went underneath it. And when it did, the thing turned and hauled ass.
Okay. In other words, it just swooped under the object, more or less cut him off.
Yeah.
Okay.
He just took off.
Okay. What time was that?
Oh, about 8:20.
Okay.
Okay, this morning, when I went to work at 4 o'clock, this morning there was 4 of them sitting on the hill back towards the mountain. And there was 4 truck drivers and myself that sat there and watched them going back and forth. And it looked like one of them fighter jets. I couldn't hardly make it out, but it looked like one of them fighter jets flying against the mountain. And as soon as that thing showed up, every light on them went out.
Okay.
Do you think maybe since I called the radar station and down there at Warren Air Force Base and stuff, maybe they're checking this out?
That's very, very possible. Yeah. But they're always zeroing in on the same mountain, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Well, the same area, the Shell Valley and between the Shell Valley and the Level Highway in this area.
Okay. And what happened to the jets once that thing took off?
They just went on.
Went on their way.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, sir. We sure appreciate the additional information.
Okay.
Boy, did you attempt any light signals?
Yeah, night before last we did.
Yeah.
And didn't get nothing.
Okay.
But they weren't real active night before last.
Okay.
It was cloudy out.
All right, sir. Thanks again.
Okay.
Sure.
You want me to keep you posted on anything?
If anything major happens, but definitely.
Okay. Now, do you pass this information on to the Air Force or anything?
No, we don't deal with the Air Force.
Don't deal with the Air Force?
No, we don't.
Is this just a deal by itself?
It's a private scientific agency, yes.
I see. I'd be interested in investigating this kind of stuff. Is there any possible way I could get a job with you?
Well, there's a national organization that you could join and volunteer as a field investigator.
Oh.
You want me to send brochures on that?
Yeah, if you would.
Okay, we'll do.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thanks for calling.
You bet. I'll keep you posted if I see anything else.
Thanks very much.
All right, thank you.
Bye. Could we get a description of what you saw?
Well, my daughter and I, who's 7, seen it.
Yes.
It was very large, and it was full of red lights. And it was, and I don't know distance very well, but we live on a farm, and it was right above the buildings on our farm. It was right in our farmyard.
Okay. Now, when did this occur?
Last night,
okay.
About 7:50. I'm calling from Minnesota.
Okay. Now, could you actually see an object or just lights?
I did not see an object. My daughter is 7 years old, and she said it was in the shape of a square. She said she's seen 4 red lights in the corner and a white one in the middle.
Okay.
And I did not see the shape.
Okay, now, any estimate as to how close it came to you?
I knew I should. I don't know feet very well or anything.
Well, could you judge it just by whether it was close or distant?
It was very close to us.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
How about size? Can you compare it with anything for size?
Yeah, it was about as big as our barn.
Okay.
And it was right above it, so... Mm-hmm.
Above the barn?
Yeah, and I watched it move over the barn and go in between a couple of buildings. I would say 100 to 100, maybe 100 yards, feet away, I don't know.
Okay.
And I watched it go over a couple of our barns, and then it kind of disappeared behind one of them. It was so close to the ground, you could see the reflecting red lights on the snow and on the buildings.
Okay, then that would be just a few feet off of the ground?
Let's see, about the distance between, on a one-story house, a rambler.
Okay.
You know?
But it was definitely reflecting the lights off of the snow?
Yes.
Okay.
You could see the red on the snow.
Okay.
And on the buildings it passed over.
Okay. Now, could you hear any sound?
Nothing. And we were in the house, looking out a window.
Okay. Do you have pets in the house?
No, we don't.
Okay. Any farm animals?
Yes.
Did they appear to be disturbed by this? Could you hear them?
No, I couldn't hear them, but my husband got home about 45 minutes after it happened, and he said the calves were up and running around, which was unusual for that time of day.
Okay.
That's about all. That could mean nothing.
Okay. Now, both you and your daughter saw this?
Yes.
Okay.
And you know I'm leery because I've seen shows on UFOs and how people make fun of you and all of that.
Yes.
So I will take it you won't do that?
No.
Okay, well, it was very exciting and unusual, but it's not like I wanted to make a big deal out of it, but
okay.
I just thought, well, you might want to know.
What attracted you to this?
My daughter's seen it. We were watching TV. We have a big bay window.
Yes.
Off to the side of the TV, and she pointed, look at that. And I looked out the window a little bit. I didn't know what she was talking about, and then I seen all the red lights. And so she had seen it first and watched it for a few seconds before I seen it.
Uh-huh.
And then I jumped up and ran to the window and watched as it passed over one of these buildings.
Okay. Now, while all of that was going on, did you notice any electrical interference within the house?
None at all.
Okay. And where did you get our number?
From the local sheriff department.
Okay. Well, we sure appreciate you reporting that, and if we get some follow-up information on this, we'll let you know.
Thank you.
Thanks again.
Mm-hmm.
Bye.
Bye.
I live in Largo, and at approximately 7:45 to 7:50 p.m., it looked to be a dirigible hovering over North Clearwater area.
Yes.
An aircraft took off from Tampa, going in the same direction it passed under the dirigible. And this dirigible glowed. It glowed so brightly that it lit up the aircraft under it. Now, I'm in Largo.
Yes.
And you can see the glow off the airplane. Once this happened, the aircraft took a 360-degree turn and went back for a second look at the dirigible. At approximately 240 degrees of the turn, this dirigible took off and went towards South St. Pete. It would have put a stealth to shame at the speed it took off at.
Okay.
By the time it was towards the Largo area, 15 different people reported it to be in a cigar shape in our apartment complex.
Okay.
And I came out at the tail end of it, unfortunately, and I got the biggest mouth in the complex, so that's why I'm on the phone. But I took a look. I'm pretty skeptical on this. I took a look at the tail end of this, and it looked like a normal flight leaving out towards South St. Pete area.
Yes.
I looked up in the sky, and I looked back at the person that was telling me about this. I said, yeah, right, you're full of, hot air. Took a look back, and I could barely see it. It was an incredible speed it was going at.
Was it holding its same shape?
I'm sorry?
Was it holding its original shape?
That I don't. Can I get you somebody that's seen it from start to finish?
Sure.
Okay, thank you. Hello?
Yes, could we get a description of what you saw?
Okay, there was three colors to the object.
Yes.
It was to the north end of the apartment where we're at. I'd say it was about maybe 400 or 500 feet up. And it was pretty intense. The colors were real brilliant. It wasn't any aircraft color I've ever seen.
Yes.
And I brought my binoculars out and tried to get, a fix on it. It was just hovering in a stationary position. It looked like a Boeing jet. Maybe it could have been a 727 or a 747. Went about 200 feet underneath it. Now, that was kind of strange right there, because usually you'll, avoid something like that. As soon as he went past it, or as soon as the plane was underneath this object, it turned a brilliant white light. And it lit the plane up for a few minutes, and then the plane circled around. Okay, after that, he went about another 200-300 feet straight up, and he came back to the left a little bit, hovered for a few minutes more, and he just zipped by, went right past us.
Okay.
And the only thing I could catch, it looked like, at first I thought it was a blimp.
Yes.
Okay? But the way he was moving, it was just too fast for a blimp.
Okay.
And then he disappeared around St. Pete, it looked like. Just kept going south.
Okay, what time did that occur?
About 7:45, 7:50 around there.
Okay.
But it's something I'm into aircraft, and I've never seen anything like this before in my life. I mean, that was fantastic. And there was a whole bunch of other people that saw it too. And then one girl says, well, maybe they're doing military maneuvers, but I don't think we've got anything like that.
Okay, any estimate of size?
What I estimated it would be about, the size, space-wise of a house, okay, but thinner, like cigar shaped,
yes.
Sort of like that, that's about all I can tell you on size.
Okay.
And it was pretty far out in the distance,
Okay.
So it's hard to judge size like that.
How long do you feel you watched it?
Oh, we watched it for about 10 minutes.
Okay.
I wish I had a camcorder, I'll tell you. But then again, you can't get it at night, it's too hard to fix a cam out there.
Okay, we appreciate you reporting that, and if we get any follow-up on this, we'll let you know about it.
Yeah, because, he's been telling a few people about this, through different agencies and all this on the airline and everything. They all think he's nuts, Well, I don't think 8 people in a row are nuts.
Right.
So I know they're out there, I mean, a lot of people are skeptic and don't believe it, but I didn't believe it either, I really didn't believe it, but that was something different.
Okay, thanks again.
Have a good night.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.